On this question, we want to find the equation of the line passing through the points -5, 7 and 3, -6. We want to write the equation in point-slope form, slope-intercept form, and standard form. So let's list out what each of those formats are. So for point-slope form, that's y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. For slope-intercept form, that's y equals mx plus b. And for standard form, that's ax plus by equals c. So we want to write our equation of the line in one of those formats, actually all of those formats, and we're given these 2 points that are on the line. So in order to find these equations, we're going to need to know the slope of the line. And we do have a formula for calculating the slope. If we're given 2 points on the line, we can calculate the slope by doing y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to assign one point to be x1, y1, and I'll assign the other point to be x2, y2. One of them is x1, y1, the other one is x2, y2, and I'll substitute into this slope formula. So that's going to give me -6 minus 7 over 3 minus -5. And we'll simplify. This gives me -13 over 3 plus 5. That's -13 over 8. That's our slope of the line. And once we get the slope of the line, we're going to be able to use point-slope form, that's this one here, to write the equation of the line. In point-slope form, you need to have the slope, which we just figured out, and a point on the line. And that's why it has that name, point-slope form. You need a point and a slope to be able to use this form. So I'm going to choose one of these points. It doesn't matter which one, so let's just use the first one here. In the formula, y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. The y1 is 7. The slope was -13 over 8. And then x1 is -5. So we have x minus -5. I would like to simplify this. That double negative should be simplified, so that's y minus 7 equals -13 over 8 times x plus 5. This is the equation in point-slope form. So we've done this part. Then we want to write the equation in slope-intercept form. So if we take a closer look at slope-intercept form has y by itself on one side, and it doesn't have any parentheses in it. So we're going to simplify this. I'm going to use a special technique called clearing fractions to rewrite this. This allows me to avoid finding a common denominator. So we're going to take this denominator here, and we're going to multiply it on the left side of the equation, and then we're going to multiply it on the right side of the equation. We have to do the same thing on both sides to keep the equation balanced. Now on the right side, the 8's will cancel out, and this gets rid of the fraction, at least for now, and that helps me avoid having to get a common denominator later. Now we'll use the distributive property. I'm distributing the 8 to both of these terms, and I'm distributing -13 to both of these terms. So we get 8y minus 40. So that's 56, not 40 something. And then negative 13 times x, that's negative 13x. And then we need to do 13 times 5. And that's 65. So we have minus 65. So I just want to remind us what our goal is here. Our goal is to write y by itself on the left. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to add 56 to both sides. That gives me 8y equals negative 13. And we need to do negative 65 plus 56. That gives me a negative 9. And then we'll divide both sides by 8. And now I have my equation, y equals negative 13 over 8x minus 9 over 8. That's our equation in slope-intercept form. So then finally, we want to write the equation in standard form. Standard form is ax plus by equals c. We want x and y on the same side. So I'm going to start with y equals negative 13/8 x minus 9/8. And I want x and y on the same side, so I'm going to add 13/8 x on both sides. And I have 13/8 x plus y equals negative 9/8. And this is standard form, but my math lab has some special instructions here that they want the coefficients and your constants to be integers. So they want you to get rid of the fractions. And what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by 8 on the left-hand side and multiply by 8 on the right-hand side. This is going to clear the fractions just like it cleared the fractions earlier. And so when I distribute that 8 to the first term and then the second term, the 8's will cancel out for the first term, leaving you with 13x. When you distribute to the second term, the 8's don't cancel, so you have an 8 there. And then on this last part here, the 8's cancel, and you're left with negative 9. So here we have our equation in standard form. This question says, write an equation for the line in point-slope form. Find the point-slope form of a line with the given slope which passes through the indicated point. We're given the slope is 4, and the line passes through the point negative 6, 9. Our point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. M is where we'll put in the slope. And our ordered pair that the line passes through, we'll use x1, y1 for that ordered pair. So m is 4, and the point is x1, y1. So substituting these values in, we'll have y minus 9 equals 4 times x minus negative 6. I want to simplify this minus a negative to be a plus. And now we've written this equation in point-slope form. This is an equation of a line with slope 4 passing through the point negative 6, 9. Okay, in this example it says, find the slope-intercept form for a line with the given slope and y-intercept. So the slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m stands for the slope and b is the y-intercept. So this example gives us the slope, which we'll substitute in for m. Our slope is negative 1/3. And it gives us the y-intercept, which we'll substitute in for b, a y-intercept of 1/4. So we start with our format of y equals mx plus b, that's slope-intercept form, and we substitute in the value of slope, negative 1/3 x, and the value of b, which is 1/4. So this is the equation of the line with slope of negative 1/3 and a y-intercept of 1/4. That's y equals negative 1/3 x plus 1/4. Use the intercepts to graph the equation. 8x plus 3y equals 12. This is a linear equation because both x and y are raised to the first power, and we only need 2 points to graph a line. And we're told in the instructions here to use the intercepts to graph this line. So we're going to find both the x and y intercept. I usually like to find the y-intercept first because sometimes it's a little bit easier. The way you find a y-intercept is by letting x equal 0. So in my equation, I'll substitute a 0 in for x, and that would give me 8 times 0 plus 3y equals 12. 8 times 0 is 0, and 0 plus 3y is 3y. And I'll divide both sides by 3, and that gives me y equals 4. So I have a y-intercept of 0, 4. Then I'll find the x-intercept. I'll find the x-intercept by letting y equal 0. So I'll substitute a 0 in for y, giving me the equation 8x plus 3 times 0 equals 12. 3 times 0 is 0. 8x plus 0 is 8x. And I'll divide both sides by 8. And that gives me x equals 12 over 8. And that'll reduce. 4 goes into 12 3 times. And 4 goes into 8 2 times. So that's 1.5. So my x-intercept is 1.5 comma 0. And to graph the equation, I'll plot both of these points, 0, 4 and 1.50. And I can connect these 2 points with a straight line. And I was able to graph the line with those intercepts. This question says, write the equation for the graph. And we have a picture here of a horizontal line that looks like it passes through -2. So I'm going to keep in mind that this is a straight line, and in slope-intercept form, that straight line has the equation of y equals mx plus b, where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. So if I can identify the slope and y-intercept of this equation, I'll be able to write the equation of this graph. So I'm noticing that this graph has a y-intercept at 0, -2. So that means that b is equal to -2. And then I also know that horizontal lines have a slope that is 0. So the slope is 0. And I can write the equation of the line as y equals 0x plus -2, which is y equals -2. So the equation of the line, the equation of this graph, is y equals -2. Thank you for checking out my videos. Have a great day.